If this video is too fast, you can always slow it down and rewind. If it's too slow, you just speed it up and watch it at 1.25 or 1.5 on YouTube. Okay everybody, so we are going to work on assessment task 3, use a DSLR to capture and create photo images. This is the artist portrait and the street artwork and that we're going to shoot in Northbridge. So what I want you to do is I want you to go into OneDrive from your OneDrive app and you sign in and you're going to see your OneDrive, and I want you to create a folder called Assessments. In Assessments I want you to create a folder called Task 3 Artist Portrait. In there we're going to put everything in that belongs to the assessment of the artist portrait. So we are going to move the photos in. Then we're going to move the session notes and your descriptions in, your task evaluation forms. Ooh. And I'm going to shut this down so I can move that in there too. And the talent release form, which I'm going to find later. So after you put in your photographs, I'm going to rename the files Assessment Task 3 Artist Portrait Photos. So everything that belongs to Assessment Task 3, I want you to have in Assessment Task 3 Artist Portrait. Once you have your photos in there, the easiest way to open them in Bridge is to either you right click and you can open with, and then you have Adobe Bridge in here somewhere. Let's go choose another app. Adobe Bridge. And then we come straight out at our photos for this assessment. The other way is if you go onto C drive, user the name, that's probably going to be your TIFF where you're logged in with TIFF, and then go OneDrive, and that's the file path where you're going to find those photos. If I look here, that's pretty much where they are. So C drive, OneDrive, TIFF, and then in here are my artist portrait. But you have this, you have favorites over here, which say if I go assessment artist portrait, I just drag this to left, and now every time I want to access this folder, I just click on here in my favorites. So the first thing we do is we're going to create a metadata template. So up the top I'm going on the metadata, and when I click on the files, you can see we can add a creator. The best way to do this, instead of typing it here for every photo, we're going to tools, we go create metadata template, and then we are going to type in your name. So your name, I wouldn't put the address in because you might not want to find people to visit you, but you can put the city in and the country. You can also write WI if you want. Select promos, and then also very important, if you scroll down, you're going to find copyright status, so less than halfway down. We're going to change this to copyrighted, and again write your name. Go. Okay, you can also write usage, all rights. Now we're going to save this as a new template. So I'm just going to put my initial and I'm going to call this JR1. So every time I can then apply this copyright to the files I import into Bridge very quickly. So this is only done once. We're going to save this. And now if I select all the files by selecting Control A or Edit, Select All, Control A, Command I on Mac, we go Tools again, and we're going Replace Metadata with JR1. And when you are in the Metadata tab, you look to the left and you see Creator. There's the city. If you have a website, you can put your website in there. And also very importantly, down there we have copyright. It's got my name in it. So every time you import files, you just select the files you want and you go Tools, Replace Metadata or Append Metadata, and you can just select your preset. So very cool. Next step is we're gonna batch rename our files. That means you rename all the files in our folder. So you know the Canon camera gives us like a UNG file name. So we're gonna select all again, edit, select all, and we go Tools, and the first one on the top is called Batch Rename. So here, when you click on the fold, it gives us various options. So the new file name, it gives us, whenever we change something up the top here, we can see it projected down there. So we're going to call this AT3 Artist Portrait. Then I'm probably going to go 2024, and I go underscore, and then you can add plus or minus those selected fields, so I don't need the text, I already have this, and so I want a sequence number and I want 4-digit, that's great, I don't want anything after. So I could select from all those options, but I don't need any of those, I just want a name, and I want all the numbers to go from 1 to 165 or whatever I have. So this 36 file will be renamed. I'm also going to save this as a preset. So I'm going to go AT3 naming. Okay, so just very quickly, access. I had done this before, that's why it asked me to replace. So then go rename and look at the files. They're all going to come up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful, isn't it? Then if you need to rotate an image, you just click on the image. On the top left, there's those little buttons. You just click counterclockwise or clockwise. So you can just single click the image and rotate. Very easy. Click the image, counterclockwise. You can also do 2 or 3 or 100 images at the same time. So just select all the images by shift clicking. And again, counterclockwise. Pretty easy. Next up, we are going to write and select our images that we want to submit to our magazine. So the easiest way to do this is to just click down here. You can give it a 1-star rating, or I like this better, I give this a 4-star rating. Another quick way is you go press the spacebar, your image comes up big, and then you just press the numbers from 1 to 5. So 1 gives you 1 star, 2 gives you 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to give this a 2-star. And then with the arrow keys, you can click on next image, you get 1, and you got 3-star and 4-star. I'm just going to quickly go through those. Once you're done, you press the spacebar again. And now we can select by our star rating. So if you go down on the left on Essentials, you get a filter. And now I'm just going to click on here and I see my highest rated images. I'm going to have a look if I have enough. So I need 2 street art. So I got 1, 2. I need 2 abstract, which could be those 2. That's another street art. And I need 1 more artist portrait. So I can just go into 3 stars now and select another one of the portrait. So I go press space again. Now I have to choose between those 2. I think I'm going to go with that one. So I'm going to give this 4 stars. Press space again. And here we are. If we just tick the 4 stars on the left, we're just going to have those. So I'm going to have, now I have to choose which images I want for this assignment. So down here we can make the images larger. And I really like this one. I think I'm going to go with this one. And then I'm going to go select those 2. So those are, I'm selecting my proofs right now. 2 abstract, and now I go label and I go green for approved. Actually, I go blue for review. Make this small again. Double check. If you click on here, you just see the reviewed images. Okay, now I'm going to sort them. So I got 2 artist portraits. Oops. Select the artist portrait only. 2 of those, 2 abstract, and 2 artworks. So that's cool. And now I'm going to select my favorites. So if I go through here again, and remember 8 is for green, I think I'm gonna select this one for my final image. And then we have 2 of those. I'm going to select this one, and for my detail, I'm probably gonna go with that one for abstract. Press green on here, press the spacebar again to get out of this, and over here, that's gonna be the 3 final images that I'm going to work on. So to open in Photoshop, I just double click on one of the files. And in Photoshop, make sure you have Windows Workspace into Essential. And it should look exactly like this. So if you double click on the hand tool, it goes big. And like before, we are going to make a new layer by clicking down here. We name the layer Hue. And same as before, we click on this pot healing brush, make sure I have all layers selected, zoom in, select this again, and then we're just going to clean up little areas that we find need a bit of cleaning up. So just click through there.
If it doesn't work, you can always go back in history again. And remember, you can adjust the brush size by clicking larger or smaller over here. If you right click and hold spacebar to move the image. I'm going to make this a little bit larger again. Okay, that looks cool.
So you can clean this up a lot or a little, that's up to you. Just make it look pretty. Then we go double click on the hand tool again, so we see it large. And select all the layers. So you click on the top layer, hold shift, click on the bottom layer, right click, and now we're going to convert to smart object. And from here, we can go to filter and camera raw filters. Beauty. So I'm just going to go, just a couple of sliders. I'm mostly working on the background now, make this a little bit darker, make it a bit more vibrant, adjust my temperature. I think that's good, I like that. And remember, over here we have selective adjustments. So just click on it, select subject, and it's going to select my artist. And if I'm going to adjust the exposure, I can make her very bright, very dark. So I'm just going to go a little bit. I'm going to put the whites up a little bit and maybe the highlights up. And then I'm probably going to increase the saturation, make her a little bit warmer. So that I quite like this. So that's good. Then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to make a vignette, an overall vignette. So I get out of here just by clicking the top or E, and going down here we have effects, we have vignette. So we're gonna see how it creates a dark area around it. And with the vignette we get those little arrows where we can go push our midpoint even closer to the middle, and we can feather it out a bit more so it looks a little bit more natural. So I think I'm just gonna go back a little bit, and I like that. So I'm going to click OK. Remember, with our raw filters, we can just turn them off and on. That's before and after. I actually think her skin tone is a little bit too bright, so I'm going to double click on the raw filter again to readjust what I just did. So I'm going to go selective, click on the mask to select what we selected before, and now I'm just bringing the highlights back a little bit, and I think that's good. Actually, I'm going to make the whole image a little bit brighter. I think that's good. Okay, click OK, and before and after, and that's good. Now we're going to save it. Control File Save or Control or Command S, and make sure it saves it into your assessment Artist Portrait Photos. Perfect. And we selected the top one. That's our Photoshop document. ICC profile we have ticked, and we only need just to click Save. If you close out of Photoshop, you're going to be back in Bridge with your new photo. So that's one. I'm going to drag this up as my final image. So that's one. Then I'm going to go with my next one. It's the same steps as before. I'm probably going to speed the video up. So just to go quickly, so new layer, heal, then we go zoom in a little bit, and go spot healing brush, and with the hand tool we can select this. So here I'm going to actually make the brush quite large, and now I'm going to get rid of this, and then I'm going to select this whole concrete thingy. So that's pretty cool, eh? I mean, it's like magic. Hold my hand tool down, so that's all good, and look around, maybe I'll make the brush smaller, just to clean this up, and double click here, and check, and say, oh yeah, that's good. Maybe just clean this little thing up there too. Okay. That tool is amazing. Okay, same thing again, double click, right click, convert to smart object. Okay, and then I go filter, camera raw filters. And I don't think I have to do much on this image, maybe just bring the highlights down a little bit. And just maybe the vibrance a little bit more, and then I think that looks good. We click OK. This one, we're going to crop a little, so we're going to crop tool up here. Hold press C, and we can keep the same ratio, or we can make a square ratio for this one. Actually, I'm going to crop quite a lot of this. Oops. I think that looks good. I'm just going to, and if you untick delete crop pixels, you can go back and readjust. I'm going to go a little bit more again. Okay, so that's cool. Actually, you see the plant's a bit in the way, so I'm going to crop again, just move it over here. Because we don't want no distractions. So that's like clean image before. We're going to save this too. So go save. Make sure it's a Photoshop document in the right folder. So that's our second one now. And then close out and go back to Bridge. So number 2. And then we're going to do abstract portrait. Same thing again. I'm still in the crop tool. If I press this button, it goes back to normal. But I'm just going to go on the hand tool. So here, I'm just going to make another clean layer. Zoom in with Control plus or Command plus. Now healing brush, use our bracket keys to make the brush larger and smaller, and hold space so we get the hand tool to move around the image. And there's another little dot here and another little dot there. We double click on the hand tool to make the image full size. And same thing again, hold shift with the top layer selected, select the bottom layer, and right click and say convert to smart object. And this one we're going to kind of raw filters. And now this one I'm going to make it really like high contrast, push the blacks down. You know, it's an abstract portrait. We can go a little bit abstract in here. And I think I like it like that. And I might just change the color to blue. And it's got a little bit too much color at the bottom, so I'm going to go here and I say linear gradient and drag that from the bottom up, maybe from here to there. And then we're just going to change the saturation to a little bit less, so it looks a little bit more even. I'm going to go up here, double check, say yeah, that's cool, click OK. And I think that's quite good. And it's just going to save out again. Control S, Command S, Photoshop file. And that is good. Back in bridge, we move this up. And that's our final image. Now we still have our Photoshop files selected. Select all three of them by click on the first image, hold Shift, click on the other two. And now I'm going to File, Export to, Custom Export. And in here you can select various options. So make sure you have original file location. Then you can put your photos into a subfolder. I call it Submission. And in Conflex, I keep the rest as it is. Make sure you have a file, Jpeg format, put to 11. And then we're going to resize it because it says 2000 pixels. Resize to long edge, 2000 pixels and 300 dpi. I'll take this because that's what we need for the final images, for the final Jpeg images. The rest we leave as it is, and maybe at the bottom we can even write final because that's our final output. Okay, and then we click Start Export, and now the images are exported. When you go Assessment Portrait, there's a little submission folder here with those 3 Jpeg images. Perfect. Then the next step is to create a contact sheet with 6 images. Remember, we need 2 artist portraits, we need 2 abstract and 2 photos of the artwork. So the best way to go about this again is like if you click on Approved and on Review, you should be able to find, if you make this a bit smaller, find 6 images. So those are the Photoshop files. Obviously we're going to select those. And then we're going to select another artist portrait. I'm going to select this one and another abstract. We select that. So we have our 6 images selected. We can go to, there we go, Output. And there's a preset up here on the right that says 2 times 2 cells on an A4 sheet of paper. That's cool. And all we need to do is create another row. So down here on the grids and margins, there's like columns and rows. We're going to add another row. So I'm going to go 3 here. So now we have 6 images. We just drag the images up and it gives us the name and the images are there, and that's all we want. So 2 artist portraits, 2 abstract, and 2 of the artwork. And then we click down here on the right, we click Export to PDF. Make sure this one asks me the documents. I'm going to say, hey, I want over here, assessments, artist portrait, that's where I want it. Actually, I'll put it straight into submission. Remember the submission folder? And put it straight in there. Call it proof sheet. AT3. And click save. This is going to export and put it straight into our OneDrive folder for us to submit. Okay, 222, double check. That's all good. Okay, our next step is take some screenshots to get our submission finalized. So back in OneDrive, on the Essentials tab, we got our Artist Portrait. So in here we have the Session 8 notes, or I have at least, and you should too. On page 5 of this, we have what we need. So we need top 3 images and down here screenshots. Okay, so screenshot of bridge desktop showing images, screenshot of showing metadata template, screenshot showing the folder and file naming system, and a screenshot of the backup files including Photoshop. So you just tackle them one by one. So we start with bridge desktop showing images. So we have to go in a photo folder, and then on Windows you go tap on the Windows and select snipping tool. So SNI, if you type SNI, it comes up there. On Mac, it's Shift Command 3 for the whole screen and Shift Command 4 when you want to select it like this. So you just drag it from top to bottom. So this shows that we have the right file names, and there's even like, there could even be a metadata, but we take another screenshot for that. Okay, so then we're going to save this, Control S or Command S, and screenshot bridge. Okay, and it has the wrong, we gotta go assessment task 3 portrait. That's the photos. I'm gonna put this in here. Okay. Oops. Save. Okay. Then we're going to go to our metadata, select one of the photos, and make sure it has this creator metadata in there. So take another screenshot, new screenshot, and just do the whole bridge again with showing you metadata. So there's the metadata, so that's all cool. You don't have to highlight that like I do. I'm just doing that for clarity, so you know what we need in the screenshot. Again, Control S or Command, or find it on your Apple, and you go screenshot metadata. And then we're going to go to our Finder or Explorer. I'm using Explorer in Windows. Actually, you can also right-click and go Reveal in Explorer or Reveal in Finder. And then you have your photos up there. It should show OneDrive and your photos. You can make this a little bit bigger. And it shows my Photoshop file. So 1, 2, that's my third one. That's another Photoshop file. It doesn't show up with the icon. I don't know why, but yeah, make sure you have your Photoshop files in here. And I'll go take another screenshot of this. And I go take the whole Finder or Explorer window. And the beauty of this, we need 2 screenshots, one showing our file naming, which we have here, and the Photoshop files which we have there, and all in the same screenshot we can see that we have OneDrive here, and you know those photos sit in the OneDrive, which is already backed up, showing by the green icon. That's so you can tick 2 boxes with one screenshot. Save this, Control or Command S, and you go screenshot, naming, and back up. Okay, save this in there, and you're getting pretty close to submission. So we have submission here. We're gonna put our Photoshop files in here because we need to submit 3 Photoshop files. That's our third one. And then when you go up one level, Artist Portrait, we have screenshot, 3 of them. We just drag them, I drag them in here to submission 2. And the talent release form also goes into submission. And then we have, remember, we have the task evaluation form. I put this into submission 2. So when I go into Artist Portrait, maybe I move the submission into Artist Portrait. So you now have a nice file naming where you find everything. So I'm here in OneDrive, click Assessments, and click Artist Portrait. That's our AT3, and everything's in here. So we have submission, and there's my 3 Photoshop files, 1, 2, 3. There's my 3 Jpeg files. If you're not sure, you can always click Details and to see that this is a Jpeg file and this is a Adobe Photoshop file. So we've got 3 Jpeg, 3 Adobe, we have screenshots of everything that's required, and we have a talent release form which you hopefully have filled in, and then we have the proof sheet with all 6 images. And all you need to do now is click on the photo task evaluation form that you should have downloaded from assessment task 3. Fill out, put your name in, fill out the 4 questions. Once you have that, save it, and you're going to be ready to submit all of the elements in here. Just make sure you have them all, and you can check on session 8 notes, page 5. 3 Photoshop photos, 3 Jpeg photos, and all the other items on this list. This was assessment task 3, Artist Portrait, editing. Hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, just ask me in class.